Now in this video I'll be teaching you guys the fastest method you can use to solve complex numbers, that is imaginary numbers to be specific. You all know that for a complex number we have a plus bi or x plus iy, where a is the imaginary, is the real part, and this other side is the imaginary part. So this will be part 1 of the video. Then I'll be dropping the part 2 where we'll be using we'll be expanding complex number, that is when you have something like 1 plus I raised to power 8. That will come out, that will be coming up in the next video. So when you have I square, you know I square is minus of 1. Now I raised to power 3 is I square multiplied by I. From law of indices, there's an invisible power of 1 here, so that is 2 plus 1, which is 3. And you already know I square, that is minus 1 times I, so this is equals to minus of what? I. Now I raised to power 4 can be splitted into I square multiplied by I square. So I square, which is minus 1 and minus 1, this will give you what? 1. Now the essence of knowing this is a situation whereby you are given powers that are greater than 4, that is large numbers. Let's say you are asked to look for the complex number of I raised to power 505. Let's say you are given a complex number of 505. If you start splitting this complex number into smaller form, there is high probability that you are going to you be making mistake. So the best way to do this, just split it into 2 forms, whereby the other form will be a number that will be divisible by 4 without a remainder. Now if you look at 504, we can split 505 into I raised to power 504. Let's pause it. Now when you have I raised to power 505, you can split this into I raised to power 504. The reason why we are splitting this is because if you divide 504 by 4, now we'll be using 4 in most cases. 4 is a very special number that we normally use in complex number. It is a very, very special number, though most students are not familiar with this. So when you use 4 to divide 504, you are going to get a number without a remainder. So multiply by I raised to power what? 1. So since I raised to power 4 is 1, definitely I raised to power 504 will also be 1. So this will be 1 times I, and this will give you I. So this is the short form of I raised to power 505. So if you have I raised to power 1101, if you have I raised to power 101, you can see you can split this into I raised to power 100 multiplied by I raised to power 1. Since I raised to power 100 is divisible by 4 without a remainder, definitely I raised to power 100 will also be 1 times I. So this will give you what? I. So this is the shortcut of imaginary numbers when you have imaginary numbers raised to the power of large numbers. So let's take one more example, that is, let's say we have I raised to power 202. This can be splitted into I raised to power 200 multiplied by I raised to power 2. You can see 200 can divide 4 without a remainder. Definitely I raised to power 200 is also what? 1. And I square, from this other part, you know I square, that is minus of 1. So the final answer of this will be what? Minus 1. So this is just we normally use 4. 4 is a very special number in complex number, and you should note this, that whenever you have I raised to power 100 is 1, I raised to power 1000 is 1, I raised to power, if you add another 0 to this, the answer will be 1. If you add 1,000,000 0 to this, the answer will be 1 as well. If you have I raised to power 200 or 2 million or 2000 to any 0, this will be 1. If you have I raised to power 3000 to any numbers, any zeros, the answer will be 1. I raised to power 4